Welcome to the AirCon Vault. Here you can find recordings of the live streams from the Airwiggles audio conference. These are made free thanks to our sponsors: Sound Effect, Aftertouch Audio, Boom Library, Fmod, Game Audio Learning, Game SoundCon, Kilohertz, Rev Rooms, Sound Cuts, Strata from Audio Kinetic, and Airwiggles, the online home for audio people. We hope you enjoyed the video.
Hey, so welcome to Sound Designers and Composers, Besties in the Making. Pretty big relief that it's not frenemies in the making or anything like that. Work well together. So this is talk about how Sam and I have thus far developed ways of collaborating together, and beyond even just playing nice, how we communicate and things we found so far that work for us. So who are we anyway?
All right, I'm up first. So yes, I am Samantha van der Sluis. I'm from New Zealand, Australia composer. I'm currently based in the US now. And yes, I have had people ask my last name is Dutch. I have a very strong Dutch heritage as well. Yeah, if you want to click on through, I've got some bullet points, Gilly. Yeah. So I work as a freelance composer, mainly for wholesome games, including the ones featured here, like Petite Island, which released last year, Love Ghosty released last year, Islands and Trains just released last week. So that was exciting, and Flowers and Favors is coming up later this year. And yeah, if you could click ahead, thank you. Yeah, so I also work in the music department for movies and TV shows. These are the ones I've done here. I mainly do like music copying, orchestration, MIDI prep, audio mockups as well, for like Avengers Endgame, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, Simpsons. It's really fun.
Just casual.
And last point, yep, most important point. I'm a bird mum. So I've got two adorable birds. I do want more. The yellow one here is called Indy, and the gray and white one is called Io. They're both adorable. I love them to death.
I think we have some bird fans in the chat, so we are right at home.
Oh, bird. Oh, does Lewis have birds?
Oh my gosh.
We're about to find out.
So yes. Oh, this is such a fun vibe. But we should have just had this talk on pets, but it's okay.
Yeah, wait till you see Gilly's slide. Yeah. Oh, I know Michael's got an Indian ringneck. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google all these types later. So, hey, I'm Gilly Moon. I live in Los Angeles. My background is heavy in sound design and mixing for theater and themed entertainment. I started as a crew person and then worked my way up to sound design, and also went to grad school for sound design. Big projects on that front were designing content systems and show control playback type of things for a few Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights mazes. I did a attraction at San Diego Comic-Con in, I think the year was 2019. It was really fun. More recently, I just spent 5 years at National Public Radio in our Culver City office as an audio engineer for 5 years, and worked my way up to the podcast technical director role. Since March, I've been freelancing in sound design and dialogue editing for podcasts, films, games. If it makes noise, I would very much love to work on it. And then as far as my pet life goes, I'm a dog mom. This is Larry. He has a tooth problem, or it's not really a problem. That's kind of why we picked him. So, yeah, that's us. Things we've done together.
I just have to point out, Fish's comment in the chat is just hilarious. I thought Sam was going to say her birds were called Indy and Triple A.
That's hilarious. Oh, good. People are liking Larry too. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was
Larry. Yeah.
I mean, when I met your bird, I thought it was IO as in input output. So
yeah, I know. That's so great. Yeah.
Great. We met on Love Ghosty. A friend recommended me to sound design, and Sam was the composer. That's the one we met on. Sam, you brought me onto Gladiatorium. Did I say that right?
I think so. Gladiatorium. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun little Ludum Dare game jam
Yeah.
game. We worked on an animation promo
And you brought
called.
me on for that one that time.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It was the point where we were like started bringing each other on for things really. Thank you. These do have nice names, the games do. And then this year we've done a neighbor's duet, which you brought me on for, Sam, which is just a CalArts, not just, I mean, it's so cute. It's a CalArts animation short. And we just finished up sound design and music for a indie game prototype called The Regreening. Yeah, that was a really fun project. Sam, anything to add before I move on to other slides?
Nope. That's good on that one.
Cool. All right, so this is something we haven't rehearsed or discussed together. Our favorite projects that we've worked on together so far. Do you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm going to say two, but for two different reasons. Mm-hmm. So I think I really enjoyed working together on Love Ghosty. It was our very first project together, so we weren't like super communicative or like, you know, in the know with each other right away. But I think that project was just so fun because like we both worked in Fmod, which is the middleware we used for Love Ghosty. And it was fun to see slowly your sound effects and Foley come in and then my music being updated. I'm sure you probably sneaked a listen, like I sneaked a listen to the new sounds. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I want to hear the new sounds. So that was a lot of fun, like getting to know you as a sound designer as well. And then I also want to say I really, really enjoyed the regreening, which is what we just worked on together, because at that point, after working on a few other projects together, I feel like we're a bit better at communication. Not that we were bad at all before, but that like we know each other, and not just like professionally, but as friends now. Like Gilly recently became more of a freelancer herself. And so we've been having these like weekly Discord chats and like, oh, how's it going kind of thing. Like if we're both available, and it's just fun to just talk and like not feel isolated as well. So I really enjoyed the regreening. I felt like both of us, it impacted us in a way. I mean, I told you when I got that gig, I like started crying because it was about nature, and then I was questioning everything I was doing. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, nature's so important. We have to protect Earth. And what am I doing? Should I even be doing music? Is this like what is my purpose? It like really got to me. So it was fun to work on that together.
Yeah, and I do enjoy our weekly chats. I think it's so important to have someone to, I mean, one, there's the accountability thing of it's not like what we're going for, but having someone to talk to makes me think like, oh, I should work on this thing I've been putting off so I can like, bounce ideas off of Sam. And then also just it's really easy to kind of be siloed alone. So it's been really awesome to have check-ins. Now, as far as projects, my answers are very similar. I did really love Ghosty for say that 3 times fast. I loved Love Ghosty for it was my first paid video game project, and I kind of really enjoyed learning how to collaborate with the main developer and how to collaborate with you. And we didn't communicate as much as we do now, but it was still an interesting way to start, I guess, dipping our toes in the water to like learn how composers and sound designers work together. And we made a really cute game. I love the regreening because we really started to collaborate more.
Yeah.
Even if it was just like, hey Sam, I made this effect. How do you think this will sit in with the music?
I think it's terrible.
Yeah, I think it's terrible.
No, I never said that.
No. You've always been super great. But I will add, I have a fondness in my heart for Pixel Perfect, because that's when we actually really started to, I think the first questions to each other and discussions really started to come to fruition during that project. And it was also just like super fun. It was like this VR experience in a volcano, and it was like a game within a film type of vibe.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. Can I 3 out of 5? That might be too many favorites. I don't know.
Yeah, all of them. Can I just say it's interesting, now that I think about it, the position of like audio lead has also swapped between us. Like I feel like you took charge with Pixel Perfect. You were definitely like, you know, I was contacting you. I was delivering to you, not our client, because you were doing like the final mix and everything.
Yeah.
And maybe like Gladiatorium, I think maybe I took charge there just because I took you on board. So it was interesting how the position of audio lead changes as well. And these projects are all indie, and so we don't have a full, you know, audio team. So we have to wear so many hats. So that's also pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then the ones that we work on together, I think the big reason for me being like quote unquote audio lead for Pixel Perfect is because I did have to do the final mix, so I needed audio from you, and then like you were saying, the core principle of bringing you on. So it is interesting how we've kind of just subconsciously stepped into the appropriate roles and discussions as we've started to develop our relationship.
Yeah.
Like we haven't been like, hey, are you leading this? That question's never happened.
No, it's just like a natural thing. Yeah.
Cool. So that was awesome. Roles. Sam, do you want to talk everyone through kind of what the composer does on a project?
Sure thing. So there's a lot. Probably a lot I haven't mentioned here as well. But obviously, like, you need to talk with the dev team and see what kind of music is needed and what they're kind of feeling out for the project. Something I added in here as well, and I'm glad Helen is in the chat because she is an awesome music designer. But like with an indie project, a lot of people may not know that there's a role of music design where you need to kind of understand what is being asked and how the music will be implemented in the game. And that really helps with composing, because then if you have a kind of map or an idea of what is to be expected, then it makes it way easier to compose. And I wish I had a music designer on every project I'm with, because the music design role lands on me where I have to think, oh, that's fine. I have to think, okay, like vertical, horizontal. Okay, I'll just try something, and then I test it in game, and then months go by, and it's like, oh, I should have done this, but now it like takes all this, like, you know, things to change, and it's just like, oh man, and this, we don't have the budget to change it, so some things just stay the same, and so that's really useful and extremely valuable. And of course, like working with a music team, if you have one, additional writers, copyists, recording musicians, orchestrators. Usually indie projects don't really have one. Composer wears that hat as well. Obviously composing music, hopefully composing music, you'd think. Implementing it into middleware. Again, if you're indie, you are the implementer. Orchestration, mixing, and then lastly, people don't talk about it often enough, but compiling soundtrack albums, which is a whole different beast, because it needs to be linear for a listening experience, as well as, you know, the right mastering, the right LUFs. You have to think, oh well, this piece is adaptive, how do I make it non-adaptive for listening, and what tracks make it. Some tracks get, you know, an introduction because there isn't an intro in the game, but it needs one for the CD or for the album. So etc.
Nice. Sound designer. The first point is the same as Sam's. Discuss vision with stakeholders, which is like a very businessy speak for chatting with the developers, director, if it's like a film project, basically the creative types for, hey, what do you want this to sound like? What are some other references that I might be able to listen to? Yeah, what do you want? And then I will also watch the film, play test the game, read the script, whatever the medium is, prior to really starting to work on it, because I can't really it just wouldn't make sense to jump in and like do stuff right away, because I wouldn't even have a starting point. I have to kind of have a feel for the thing I'm working on. I have to know the story. That's the base of all of my work. And then for games in particular, I like to author an audio asset list, where I will do, I have a spreadsheet template type of situation. And then it comes from discussions with the developers, and then also from me playing the game. And it's a living document, like it's never really finished, right? And then from there, after all the pre-production work, I suppose, is done, I'll record audio in real life and or gather sounds from libraries and edit. I also implement in middleware for games. I wrote Fmod in here in particular, but of course that depends on what the project is actually using. For film, I cut sounds to picture, so dialogue, Foley, sound effects, backgrounds. On most projects, these are obviously multiple teams with multiple people, but a lot of my projects so far have been very small scale where I'm doing it all. It is also up to the sound designer to, the lead sound designer, to bring on other sound designers and editors as necessary on bigger projects. And then in the case of films, well, also games, handling the overall mix of things. And then, of course, there's probably some things I've left out because it's very dependent on what the project needs. But yeah, those are our roles. Expectations, what we expect from each other. We put this in letter format because we weren't sure what to label the slides. So, dear composer, keep me looped in when music happens and general vibe stuff. Looping me in could be, allowing me to be a fly on the wall by watching chat messages, sitting in on music meetings. For films, we can collaborate in a spotting session. And it could also mean paperwork stuff like music cue sheets, or maybe there's like a music tab in the audio asset list and, we dump stuff there. Communicate when things change. Everything informs everything. If a composer and a director have a talk about having no music somewhere, just as an example, that might mean I need to cover it more with ambience and other sounds. So yeah, just keeping me in the loop on change as well is super helpful. And then let's stay in our respective lanes. If you plan on making a sound effect, let's communicate and collaborate. Reading this back, I'm afraid I might sound a little bit like we put ourselves in a box. And that's really not what I mean. Like, I'm totally open if Sam wanted to make a specific sound effect. I think a lot of good ideas can come from back and forth, or allowing someone else to take a stab at something. But what I'm getting more at is, as an example, I've worked with newer composers who will make sound effects without telling me. And I'm pretty busy handling all the assets and whatnot. So if I know, then we're not doubling our efforts. And then there's also like the FOMO component of, oh, maybe I want to make the cool sounds. So just in that one, it's like not so much about being rigid, but it's about, I think, again, the communicating thing. Tech specs, if you don't understand them, like how to provide stems or what I'm expecting, just ask. I love explaining my job to people. I think a lot of audio people do. Any misunderstandings at all, and either one of us may have to redo work, and that would be big bummer. I really, like I said, I really like mentoring people, and in my book there are 0 bad questions. What I personally dislike is having to redo work based on technical or communication reasons, because it holds up progress for people who aren't the audio team. And since we're the last in line, I really want to make sure I stay on track. Stems and reference tracks, kind of my favorite point on this slide, to be honest. Stems offer a lot of flexibility. I can loop stuff as needed if the director or developers, whoever I'm conversing with, ask. Or duck certain instruments, or gently edit it, kind of whatever needs to happen. But if I have the reference track, I can preserve the composer's vision. And I think that's really important, because if I do end up needing to edit it, like if we're on a project where it's big enough that Sam is just sending me stuff and I'm in a mix with a director, like it's important to me that she's also heard and represented in the mix. So having the reference track really makes sure that I can represent Sam in the final project well.
That's so lovely.
Yeah. If you break any of these rules or don't follow any of these asks, you owe me a coffee. Best regards, your sound designer. Sam,
okay.
Sam, I mean, at this point, honestly, I probably owe you a coffee, Sam.
Have I broken any of those things you listed?
No, okay. You've been wonderful.
Oh, wow, you hear flawless. That? I remember, so we were making this slide together over like a Discord talk, and we were like just scouring the internet for GIFs, and we had so much fun with it. I'm like, yeah, this one for this slide.
It was so fun.
My letter, is a bit more brief. So, dear sound designer, please make sure we're on the correct middleware or source control versions. So middleware being your FBOD or Wise or whatever else, and source control could be GitHub or P4V. I mean, those are the 2 I know. There's probably some more as well. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't work if we're not on the same version. An error message will pop up, and we'll just have to update. It's not a big issue, honestly.
That's what I owe Sam a coffee for, by the way, if we're just being honest.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I gotta update my FMOD. Yeah. But honestly, it wasn't a big issue at all. So so sound designer, please let me know if the sound effects has priority over music at certain areas. Because both of us, and by us I mean any composer and any sound designer, we will work in isolation most of the time, and what we work with we hear more of. So I'll be scoring music, writing tracks, and I hear that even if I put it against gameplay or a video or anything. And then I'm sure Gilly or any other sound designer focuses on the sound effect or the sound asset, and then here's just that without any music behind it. And we don't know what will have priority. I mean, in most cases the sound takes priority over the music. But there are cases that's not the case. Also, please be friendly and approachable, because us composers can be introverted, so we're scared. But yeah, it will help us communicate better with you if you're just an awesome person, just even a decent person. We don't want to be intimidated and get scared off. So from composer.
Yeah, the gruff sound guy stereotype doesn't really fly anymore, and I think I'm definitely happier and do better work when I'm good to other people. So
yeah,
I appreciate that point. Tips for working together on a project. These are kind of more general technical things. Do you want to talk about the key signature point, Sam, since that's a little bit in your domain?
Yeah, so do be aware of the key signature if you're using if you're making a musical sound effect. This has occurred in the regreening recently, where Gilly was amazing and proactive about it, where she asked me like, you know, what key I'm in. And I think this was like, I didn't reply yet, so you figured it out yourself. But otherwise the sound really would have clashed with the music at that point, because it was like this victory jingle that was a bit more musical. So that was great. Yeah, also on Love Ghosty, I was asked to do a couple musical sound effects. I don't know if you remember, but like there was a harp glissando. Yeah. Yeah, so I was asked to do those just because it was literally just a harp glissando, and it just needed to be in the keys of all the different gameplay loops. So it was like, okay, here's harp glissando 1, harp glissando in D major, harp glissando in this key. So it was just easier for me to take on that task. Yeah, that was so exciting too. I was like, oh, I get to do sound effects, but really it's just like it's just an instrument.
No, but I mean, that also made sense for what that moment was, for all the reasons you just said. For the regreening in particular, I think like it was just like on the list they gave me, and I was like, well, I'll take a stab at it. But like if through discussions they needed something more musical that matched the score, I probably would have been like, Sam, you can have this one. But yeah, what I did was I listened to the music, and my ears aren't like musically perfect, but I could tell it was like in the major scale. So I just made a triad that was major. And now we're not using it, but that's fine. The point is we want something else as, you know, revisions happen.
Yeah, the moral of the story
is communicate about music stuff. Watch frequencies so nothing is getting masked. This kind of goes both ways. I think it goes back to needing to know what the other person is doing. So if there's a lot of high frequency sounds in the score and I need something to punch through, that becomes a conversation. And you know, that informs kind of like, okay, well, that sound effect needs to have more low end kind of thing, so it doesn't so it mixes well together. Just checking my notes. Oh, there was one for Pixel Perfect where this was actually kind of cool because I don't think this happens often, and it's on the note of like me making sure Sam was represented well. There was a lot of it took place in a fantasy volcano world, so a lot of like low rumbles, and if I didn't have that, that world would not have felt very immersive or present. So I reached out to Sam and said, hey, like things are kind of colliding, I've done what I can you kind of take a look at it. On bigger and whatnot, the mixer will say, you know, we got to duck the music here and we'll bring it back in at this point. But because this was a small project and Sam and I started to develop like a relationship at this point, I would have felt bad if I made an executive decision without her. So Sam, you composed like a whole new track for that.
So I didn't have to rewrite it, but you know, us creatives, we listen to something we wrote like a month ago and we're like, oh no, I've gotten better, or I don't like the sound of it anymore. So I was like, I'm just going to rewrite everything. But yeah, that end specifically at the volcano moment, yeah, there was like big explosions and it just called for like big epic music. And so we were fighting, not us, but the sound and the music, you know, it's like which one takes priority, which one gets heard more. And so we came to the conclusion of, well, if I wrote something that focused more on the higher frequencies of instruments and I didn't have super low things, so it was more like middle frequency and high frequency, that way the low frequency of the lava and volcanic eruption could be heard, and the, you know, the contrabass, contrabassoon, the trombones or whatnot didn't get buried in that moment. And so it was mainly focused on violins and flute, melody, horns. Yeah, so it was really interesting to work like that, actually.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the time the mixer just kind of like handles it themselves. Yeah. So I don't know. I know it's more work in the end for you, but you know, just I decided to take my shot and see if you wanted to rewrite a little something.
Yeah.
The last point, a lot of you who are game sound designers probably do this like for everything already, but sidechain compression, so sound effects can duck music where appropriate. So I will have a sidechain compressor on my music and my sound effects bus will feed that compressor. So and like I probably spend like way too much time with the tweaking it. I could tweak limiters all day. Talk about a relatable statement, but so I find the settings that are appropriate for that music and that game. And when there's a sound effect, it will just duck the music gently. I don't really do it for ambiances. There have been like rain effects where I'll do that for, because we need to feel immersed in the rain. But other than that, anything to add before we move on, Sam?
I just want to say that last point is probably not my favorite for all of us composers. Yeah, because it's like, oh, duck the music. So I think it's a really tricky technique to get right. Like, you don't want it noticeable. And I mean, I think maybe the players may not notice it, but anyone in game audio would notice it. So yeah, it's tough. And obviously I don't do that side of things, and I'm not the wizard about that. But yeah, that one's like a hard one.
Yeah.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, right. I mean, honestly, I probably only end up ducking stuff by like a couple of dB. It isn't really. Yeah, you probably would have complained in the greening if it was too hard, because I started using it pretty early on. But
oh, okay. Well, yeah, if I didn't notice it, then it's good. Yeah.
I think this goes to I totally understand the uncomfortability. I mean, and it kind of also goes to my point about talk to me if you make a sound effect. Like, we all want to be represented well, and I definitely take that to heart for the composer too. Like, we're all working towards a common goal. And so this all kind of just sum it up, it's communication, right? Just talk to each other, kind of a thing. Okay, so now we're going to get into the hot topic of the day. Should a composer and sound designer be separate roles? Sam's hot take.
That's my take. That's literally my take. So I'm sweating here because the game audio is listening. Game audio community is listening. So to be quite honest with you, I think they should be. There's a lot of depth in music composition and sound design. They're two very different roles, two creative roles, but sound design is a little bit more technical. And I feel like even in indie projects, like as a composer, I'm asked, can you do the sound design? Can you do the sound effects? And it's like, I can try it. It's not my thing. It's not my field. I can try it, but it's not my main thing. And so I tell that to them, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm okay with that. But I also suggest, but what if I introduced, someone else who can take on that stuff? And so you don't, it's not like they're paying me for music and sound design, but they're just paying me for music at that point. And then the sound design budget can go to an actual sound designer. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like, I'm looking at the comments. I'm like, okay, maybe, but when I sit down and I take time out of my day to learn something about my craft every day, and I think like, okay, I can either pursue a bit more music and improve my music, or I can start to, learn sound design basics, or get better at that or understand that a bit more. And if I choose the sound design, which is fine, then the music doesn't improve itself, if that makes sense. So it's like you become a jack of all trades, master of none, or and not saying like, and it takes a lifetime to learn sound design and music, and we don't have 2 lifetimes. So I just focus solely on music, and I'm very clear with my client. I'm like, I don't do sound design. I absolutely can. I'm absolutely willing. If you need me to, I will try my best. But I think it's also great if I suggest a sound designer, because then it's giving the sound design community jobs, right? I'm not taking away from them. So, yeah, and it allows duos and partnerships like this as well. I mean, if you can compose and sound design, or, you learned that together, that's, that's amazing. Unfortunately, I didn't learn them together. I just honed in on music. So it's really my thing. It's tough, but I'm not going to back down on this one. And I'm going to lean with like, yes, sound design and composers can be separate roles.
I mean, and I've seen you compose cozy music and then also epic battle themes. So I feel like sometimes like there's plenty of people who can be like really versatile, but just to your point of like really honing in on music, like do you think you would have had that versatility if you did both sound design and music, or would you be really good at one genre of music and then do sound design? Like how do you think that would have worked out for you if you
That's tough. I think that even makes it worse because then like you'll only get hired for one genre and then oh, your dog wants to
Sorry. I was really afraid that would happen. Sorry, no, everybody.
It's fine. Yeah, that's why my birds are out of the room. I'm like, there's no way my birds are making the live stream. But yeah, it might like isolate you even more or pigeonhole you even further, where if you just do music for say cozy games or fantasy games or whatnot, and then sound design, then it's like, oh, you can't get hired for these FPS shooters or whatever. So it's tough. I think it has helped in me learning my craft a little more, that I can be a little bit more versatile. And I can't emphasize enough how bad I started as a composer. I don't know how much I've improved, but if you listen to my themes from when I very first started, it was very, very bad. And I have had people say that to my face, your music is really bad. I remember one person saying, your music is very bad, but your drive will get you far. And so it was like a negative compliment. And I don't hold a grudge on that person at all, but it really makes you think like, okay, so I am maybe slow at learning music, so I really gotta like put everything into it to at least get decent. Otherwise I'm just gonna fall behind.
I mean, for what it's worth, I think your music is very detailed and beautiful, so I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit.
Oh, thank you.
Anything else to add to your take before I go on to mine?
No, you go ahead.
I mean, okay, being a sound designer, you probably already know what I'm going to say. Here we go. Generally, yes. Like, I also want to have an open mind because there are people who do both in this chat. And watching this, I'm sure. So I think it's very dependent on the genre. Like, if it's a game that needs nothing but musical effects, I'm obviously not the right person to do it. Like, maybe a composer, sound designer hybrid is appropriate for that project. But if I am brought onto a project, I can focus on specificity. I've worked with developers who've said we need a sound for a climbing effect, and then I'll dig into it, and I'm like, oh, but you need the grab onto the rock, you need foothold and handhold sounds, and you need a letting go sound, you need a land sound. So I'm able to like more dig into the finer details because I'm hyper focused on the sound effects. A second set of ears. I mean, clearly, like, I know what I'm doing, I'm working and all that. And I've gotten positive feedback on my work, at least recently. I've also been told my work isn't very good when I was much younger. I think we've all had that. But I think it's useful to have more of a department, even if it's just I'm working with a composer, because we can you have like a built-in buddy for feedback. And especially if you're like on an NDA for a project, it's kind of scary being alone and not having that resource. Being a sound designer specifically, I feel like it allows me to switch from creative brain to mixed brain pretty quickly. I don't know if everyone feels this way, but sometimes I feel like I'm focused more on textures and the components of what a sound effect will be. And then when I have to do a whole mix, I have to like switch to a more technical brain. I also find that being a sound designer on a project, I can focus on implementation and acoustics and potentially develop systems that are kind of innovative. And just I feel like allowing yourself to switch to that mindset, like giving yourself the bandwidth to, allows for immersion and innovation in games. There's the time element, right? So the faster the sound effects and music each get into a game, the sooner the devs can hear progress in their game, the sooner we can play test it. But again, I want to be really open to everyone in this chat, and there are some projects that also need both, but my maybe perhaps somewhat biased take is generally I think the roles should be separate for all those reasons. But I'm also a big collaboration fan, and it comes from that. Like, I've had very positive experiences collaborating with Sam, and I think working together in a department is it's a really wonderful thing. I'm ready for Q&A. Do you have anything to add, Sam? Or
No, that was awesome. You said that all so well. And yeah, people are thinking like, oh, well, they have to say yes because we're the duo. And if if I learn sound design, then I take your job. But no, we get it. Like, yeah, I love that we add hot takes in there because there's so many things about the game audio community people don't talk about openly. And so this is one of them. There are a lot of people for and a lot of people against, but a lot of people in the middle too. So it really does depend. Yeah, awesome.
Who are these people you're talking to? Oh my gosh, the chat has been really fun when I've glanced over. What is all this about ducks?
Yeah, I just see some ducks.
I need to stop sharing my thing. Here we go. Stop sharing. Sweet. So I guess we can just go down the list. Cool. Nikhil, I hope I said your name right. For someone who's doing sound design, composing the music, implementing each gameplay system, and creating the music system as well, any tips on what to prioritize? For example, character foley and ambiances would be on top, and then take care of environment interactables or UI and music. What would your approach be if you're autonomous and have author over the overall soundscape? Since I don't compose, I wonder if you're the best one to kick this off, at least, Sam.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good question. And that would be a great question for someone who does do both. Yeah. Funny. But yeah, so, I mean, my experience with music is, it's hit or miss on how long music will take to compose. I've had some which is just like it's just flowing naturally and it comes in a few hours, or it's taking me like weeks or it really depends. So
do you feel like you maybe wouldn't do so many ambiances if you were composing music for something too, because the music will be there anyway, for lack of a better phrasing?
Yeah, if it was me, I would probably try to focus on the ambience and the Foley first, because then it kind of helps create a soundscape. Because in the film world, at least, it's really handy if you have the film with the sound and the dialogue there. If you don't have the dialogue or the sound, it's kind of hard to compose to.
I mean, how could you even do it without dialogue? That's
funny. The sound design. Yeah, exactly. Sound design. Well, funny. My husband, who's also a composer, he worked on a film that was like all German. He didn't understand German, and there was a Chinese film as well. And he's just like, I don't know what they're saying, but I'm gonna compose. But yeah, he did good with that. But yes, to answer your question, I mean, I think whatever you're in the mood for that day, or whatever you're feeling like. So it might be, I'm gonna do footsteps today. And then tomorrow you wake up and you're inspired to take on music. So really just go with like what you feel like, because otherwise you might burn out as well. So probably go on like what's sustainable.
Yeah, and I think scope creep in that case must be important. So talking with the developer about what their expectations are, and that's where your audio asset list comes in handy. It might not even be about just how many assets, but how much effort you put into them too. So like, are you going to make your own UI effects from scratch, or are you going to just kind of pull them from a sound file, and or maybe have less variations of footsteps. That would be my my personal insight as a not composer. Okay, so we'll do that. Nico asks, how do you handle giving feedback in your work relationship when you are in the lead and don't really agree with what the other person has done?
Is this talking between us? Like if I don't like something you've done?
I think so.
I'll just tell you.
No, totally. And like for me with music, I'm not going to be like, Sam, I think it should I think this needs more guitar or something. Like that's not my business. Yeah. I think I'd be like, hey, I'm struggling with the mix in this way. And or in the case of film, I might be like, hey, just so you know, like I have to cut the harp at this timestamp and I'll bring it back in at this, and then it becomes a conversation. It's very non-personal, and the way I personally give feedback in those situations is it's very moment specific, and I don't know if I want to say technical, but there's a specificity there.
No, for
we
sure.
We haven't had anything really like that.
I think just the pixel perfect mix, like when we had that moment where everything's in the low frequency, so we had to do something. So then, yeah, I mean, I think it was you who suggested, you know, take out the bottom end. Or minimize it a little. So good. A bit. So yeah, so that's what we did, and it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, and there was that victory sound too, where I think it's also good to proactively seek feedback, because you're also kind of creating that safe space of, hey, you can come to me with stuff. We're all working on the same project, right? So kind of keeping it about that. I didn't think there'd be so many questions. Let's see. Queued up. That's not what I wanted.
Can I just say, on like, you didn't know there would be this many questions. Yeah. I had a talk one year at a different conference, and I brought my husband along as an audience member. Well, he came along as well, and he was in the audience, and he was worried that we wouldn't get any questions, and so he raised his hand and asked a question, and I was just thinking, like, what is he doing asking a question? But I just went with it. But yeah, so many people ask questions. It's great.
I know it makes for a good discussion. Oswaldo says, when it comes to finding freelance work for indie games, do you feel it's better to focus on either composing, sound design, or both? I do both, but I'm not sure if I should specialize. I think it really helps that Sam and I happened to meet on a project. Because now I can recommend Sam. So I think the thing that really works in our favor is I can't do both, but I can recommend somebody. I do get met with Sam. I don't know if you run to the same thing, but I have like had people kind of dip before when I say like I'm just not just, but like I do sound design only. I do know a composer I work with frequently. And I think honestly it's you have to be open to you have to know there's a risk there. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, especially indie projects, if you can do both, that could be seen as something that's pretty hireable. So just go ahead and say, I'm a composer, sound designer. Yeah, and do you need music? Not like that, but yeah, say you can do both, and they would love you for it. Yeah.
I will say, we didn't do on a game jam, but you could do a game jam and say you focus on one. So instead of making it about work, it's about the project. And if you find a composer or a sound designer that you work with well, then you can recommend that person. And I think if you do both, if you want to do both, but if your heart is really leaning towards one, don't be afraid to pursue it.
Yeah. And by the way, Gilly, the questions are coming in, like the most recent are going to the top. So
oh, my bad. Okay. Thank you.
Go back to the 6:18, or for you 3:18 Eastern time, Pacific time.
2:49 was the last one here. Or the first one, I think. Victoria. Hey, Victoria. Said, do you tend to get asked to make soundtrack albums for projects, or is that something the developers assume you'll do? That's a Sam.
Yeah, so that's something they'll assume I do, but that's also something I bring up in my contract right away as well, because I want to make it clear who is receiving the revenue on that. Spoiler, it should be the composer receives 100% for indie projects anyway.
Nice.
Because, in an indie project, you may get, I'm just going to think of a number here, but maybe like $600 if it does well in a year, and if it's a small project, and that $600 is going to be way more beneficial to an individual composer rather than a studio. Like the studio is just going to dent, like, oh, yes, okay, we could like use this for like a writer and then an artist for 3 months or 1 month or whatever. And a composer, it's going to be like, oh gosh, this really helps, I can pay my rent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. Here we go. Philip says, of course, the goal would be to have a working relationship similar to what you guys have. But have you ever had to work with someone in audio who you didn't mesh with? If so, how did you handle that? So I worked on a play a long time ago where the composer was very talented. But he would he wrote good music, and I think he was learning how to work with sound designers. And I was doing systems and creative content for all of this. And also installing the entire sound system in like a 3-story warehouse. So I was really burnt out. There was one time I misprogrammed something and it wasn't in stereo, but it was a super quick fix. But he got really gruff with me, and it's not even about anything personal in that instance. It's not productive. So I honestly was uncomfortable with talking with him directly, and I was also really burnt out. So I talked with the director, and the director gratefully represented me and said, hey, she's doing all of this. And so then from there, like the composer and I would just like take a moment before we'd give feedback to each other. And I think that's really important. And the composer was also very appreciative, and like he basically, changed his tune, no pun intended. So in that instance, I think what really helped was having someone who had a relationship with that composer kind of go to bat for me. Yeah, that's what I think worked. And otherwise, what I've done is there's never been anyone who I don't mesh with well. I tend to work with composers besides Sam who might be a little more green to working on a film or whatever. And so I'm just very, I approach everything with a friendly attitude, and I say, here's kind of what I need from you. Here's what I'll be doing. Yes, I can send you a very rough sound design with backgrounds and major effects, and then go from there. Do you have any stories, Sam?
Not that comes to mind. I'm usually the only audio person on a team, or out of one or two. So yeah, I've been fortunate in the game industry to work with cool people. I mean, everyone in game audio is super awesome.
Literally, it's like the most welcoming community, I swear.
Yeah.
Craig wrote, will a composer typically get access to the script or playtest on an indie project as well? I can see that being useful for scoring a mock-up to present to the dev team.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you're on board, you should get the script or the playtest. But as in terms of pitching an idea, you'd have to, it really depends, to talk with the dev team if they're comfortable sharing a build. But yeah, like usually, typically you should have access to that.
Got it. Just a time check. We have 3 minutes technically in this. I can stay for a few minutes and get through more of these questions. What's your availability like, Sam?
Yeah, I'm good to stay.
Okay. Greg and Lewis, let us know if that is not kosher for any reason. I'm going to go back over to the Q&A. Go back to the bottom here. Ben asks, do you often share sounds or instruments / samples to be used both in music and sound design to blur the line between both or to better gel with them together? We haven't, but I feel like we could. I think that's more of a suggestion than a question, but I that would be interesting.
I mean, in my own work, if I'm doing something modern or using synthesizers, I will absolutely make a sound designy sound, if that makes sense, and then blend it with a more traditional instrument. I mean, if you're not doing that, you're limited. You're limiting yourself to just instruments and traditional music and whatnot. So opening your music sphere to allowing sound design music and even aleatoric stuff is awesome.
Yeah, I think you made a fantastic point. I think this might be more about sharing between each other.
So I don't think, we have done that between each other. No.
But I might honestly make a note because that would be useful. Cool. So what have I do that? And then for someone who's doing sound, oh, I'm so sorry. We answered this already.
Yeah.
Band.
Oh, we have an Aussie. Terrell.
We do. Represent. I found it difficult to find jobs in sound design living in Australia. Considering the market, is it worth moving to the countries providing the work? I find a lot of remote stuff. I had someone, I haven't, I need to get back to them, to be honest, but someone from India reached out to me the other day. So don't sell yourself short. Move to another country, I think, if you really want to, but you do not have to. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, do not move. Stay in Australia. So Terrell, you can message me privately or whatnot, because I have a whole list of game industry resources and contacts and networks in Australia and New Zealand, and I can connect you right away with someone if you're looking for someone in Australia.
That's wonderful. It's just kismet that that you lead this talk and that Terrell was here. Feedback, and then spotlight. Should one negotiate a higher rate if they are unable to separate sound design and composing and are put into a position where they have to do it alone? Yes. Sorry. I charge I'm always looking to kind of tweak and see what's best. But at the moment, I charge per asset on a game. And I also, for films, I will, I know generally how long something will take me, and I base that rate on a day rate and how many days that might take me. So just on assets and time alone, yes, charge a higher rate, and you're doing more work. Do you have any input on that, Sam?
No, exactly what you said. If you're doing double the work, you're making effects and music, it's obviously double the money. So that's the benefit of maybe being both.
Yeah. I will say something that I think helps and that I've started doing is I have a rate sheet. I made my own spreadsheet for myself for calculations, but then I made a rate sheet to when someone asks, how much does this cost? And then I can send them the rate sheet. In an ideal world, I'm getting on a call and showing them in real time and negotiating. I've had it happen way too much where people say oh, we thought it'd be less than that. Bye. But it should be a negotiation, especially I'm willing to be very flexible based on what I can provide. And if someone can't meet my rate, either I can say, well, I want to do this because I really like the people, or we can talk about making the scope less. It's all a negotiation. But lots of bonus answers there. The short answer is yeah. I would say think what your minimum is that you have to make on projects. Think of how much time it takes you and charge a rate based on I know some composers do. Sam, you charge per minute or something?
Yeah, that's the typical way to charge. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. More money. The things I say when I'm searching for something just get kind of weird.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's perfect. Yeah.
Question for both. Have you worked in a project that some sound effects are in tune in real time? For example, when the game Super Mario Odyssey or the latest Switch Zelda games, hope you know what I mean, you have any insight on how this could be done?
Yeah, so SFX in tune with the music in real time. So wasn't this a discussion with the regreening recently?
Yeah. That was with the victory sound effects. So
okay.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, so there was, just to sum it up too, with there was a moment that was it's like a victory sound effect for a moment in the game, and it was on my asset list to make. And I tried making something kind of like with a instrument, like a VST, at first, and I listened to Sam's music and I said, "Oh, that sounds like it's in a major key." So I made something like basically a C major triad, and lo and behold, I flagged it for Sam and said, "Do you want to listen to this and tell me what you think?" And then she gave me feedback and said, "Oh, well, my music's in G major, so it worked." I think it's very kind of moment by moment and figuring out what that sound will be in the moment. I don't know. Do you have any insight, Sam?
Yeah. Well, actually, I want to say no. I just said yeah. But because that's not my area of expertise. I think when you line up a sound effect so that it's in line with the music, that's a very AAA Nintendo thing for sure. And I don't think I have experience doing that, or we haven't done that to that extent in a project.
Yeah, I will say we consider what the other one's doing. And this is a tough one to answer because it's so situational.
Yeah.
But
Can I just say, oh no, go ahead, Gilly.
No, just the point is, I think it just goes back to communication and constantly flagging something for the other person.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest look at the music from Hi-Fi Rush, the game, because if you don't know the game, you're like this guitarist rock kid, and every movement he does from walking to attacking is like a sound effect timed with the music, and the way they did it, they like sped up or slowed down the animation, so it was always in the same tempo. So it's a really great talk. I think there's a talk on. Was it from GDC? I'm not sure.
It's in the GDC wall.
Oh, yeah. I think it's part of the free talks as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, Fernando, I hope that answered the question a little bit. Okay. What are your main priorities in the start of a new project where the story, art, animation hasn't been fully developed yet? Oh. That's a good question. Sorry if you guys heard a motorcycle outside. Knowing what the gameplay will be on the sound design front, or the general vibe, like I always go back to story. Kind of knowing what the developers are going for is really helpful. And then a lot of what sound design accomplishes in games is player feedback. So if I kind of know how people will be interacting with things, I can anticipate stuff. Also conversations with the developers, and watching chats. I think it's actually a really cool thing. There have been some things in the regraining where I will like see something in a channel and be like, oh, that will affect the sound this way. So I think being aware of what other departments are doing, even if you're just a fly on the wall, and watching conversations unfold, I think that's really helpful. I love being brought on early. I don't think sound designers are brought on early often enough, but it can be really fulfilling and really fun. And again, I'm a big fan of being a collaborator anyway. So yeah, just bring your girl on early. It's kind of the best way to tackle it. Yeah. Anything to add, Sam?
I mean, you're saying this so eloquently. Yeah, like, bring on your audio people. You don't need to pay them right away. You just bring them on, and just so they like get an idea of what the heck is going on in the game and the story and the concept. Like, we got a creative dossier on the regreening, and I read it all. I was so into the lore. Yeah, it was amazing.
It was so good.
Yeah.
And there are projects where I'm still in the Discord because if a prototype or demo gets made into a full game, like I want to be in the know. So yeah, I hope that helps. Sam, this is a very important question. Do you have any samples You ever sample your birdies to synthesize?
Of course I do. Of course I do. It's hard to record them. You have to get them, you know, when the mood strikes, because like they'll fly away. And I don't have the proper microphone. Like I want another Zoom mic again so I can get a clear recording, because I've just been using like my iPhone because I don't have a mobile recording. So the recording's not great, and I need a Zoom mic. My birthday's coming up if anyone wants to get me one. but yeah, so I do sample them, but I haven't put them into a project yet. When I do, you will know, because I will let the world know.
I keep on meaning to record Larry, and because he would make great like little gremlin beasts. Cool. On a daily basis, what is the workload when working on a game as a sound designer or a composer? Yeah.
Depends.
It really depends on deadlines. At the beginning, it's a lot. As things I guess settle down and get wrapped, I might be like, I'm gonna work on a sound effect for this game today. But at the beginning, it's like at day one of the regreening, I went to Griffith Park here in LA and spent like 10 hours recording things. So it varies, and I don't think I could even give an average, but it's a wide range. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, no, I agree. The workload just, it depends. And especially with indie projects, you have a bit more time, I find. Like there's not crunch times like there is in AAA. I mean, I wouldn't know. I haven't done AAA. I'm not upset about that, but no, indies are great. Indies are the future. But yeah, so usually we have like months or years for a deadline. So I haven't felt like a huge pressure each day to just be like, oh man, I need to hurry up or anything. So it really depends.
Yeah. Talking about portfolios. For portfolio purposes, do you two make joint reel? Oh,
that's interesting. We don't, because both of our reaction was like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. It'd be cool if we did, like, if we wanted to focus on something specific, like we could make like a little demo project together. But usually if I'm using a like if I have like Sam's music in a reel, I will just like credit her in the little credits. There are people that say not to do that because your reel should be about you, but I don't think that's fair, and I don't want people to have the impression I did the music on anything. But I do also want to show the music and how my sound effects sit in the music. I think that's important. So we haven't done a joint reel. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that, Sam?
Yeah, we have separate reels, and I think if a client is asking me for a sound designer recommendation, Gilly will be one of those people that I recommend, and I think vice versa too, because Gilly, it's so nice. Like I get a message from you, it's like, we need a composer. Like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard that before.
It's great. It's so useful. Technical question: Unreal Engine. So we work mostly in Unity and Fmod just because that's what our projects have demanded. So this is going to challenge us, but I'm excited. Technical question: Unreal Engine. Would you implement ambient cues on an object, Ambience Manager, which plays in 2D, or would you drag and drop the cues directly into the world with attenuations on it? Or use an actor with collisions and add overlapping logic to transition the different layers and play the loops in 2D? Generally, ambiences should be 2D. So I've done like really basic looping events. I do think it could be interesting. Yeah, I've done looping events that are recalled in like C# code. I do think it could be really interesting to use more collision boxes that trigger different ambiences as the player walks through. Just the projects we've ended up working on. It's the developers have been more keen on triggering via straight up scripting, but collision boxes would be a really fun thing to integrate, as well as like reverb zones and whatnot. Yeah, I think there's probably projects we're working on that could use reverb zones. So I know that doesn't directly answer your question for Unreal Engine, but that's where we're at. Anything that might be more of a sound designer question, Sam, but do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, you got it.
Okay, cool. Uh-huh. Do you use resources from a pro, ASCAP, etc. for rates? I'll let you start.
What do you mean by that exactly? Maybe Gilly, do you have an idea? You mean like your PRO recommends like this rate as a working composer or whatnot?
Maybe that's what they mean. I know I will base a lot of rates off of the Motion Picture Sound Editors Guild has a rate search engine for sound folk. Well, all folk in production, but so I'm not sure if this is similar to that. See if anything's popped up in the chat.
Yeah, so I guess I don't look at my PRO's resources enough for, MPSC represent. My PRO is the APRA AMCOS, which is the Australian one, but they're tied to ASCAP, so yeah, that works out for me. But I don't even think they have resources on recommended rates for at least composing anyway, because that could be so different. Is it AAA? Is it indie? Is it big film, big budget? Is it like a short web series? Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully that helps, Daniel. Okay. Sorry, just I was bouncing around between the chat and the Q&A here. Okay. Enoch asks, this is probably from the chat. I'm pivoting from sonic branding and web development into game audio implementation. Nice. For someone with my background, what's the most efficient learning path between WIs and FMOD in 2025? I've been struggling to find current non-outdated tutorials. Should I start with the audio kinetic certifications for WIs, or are there better FMOD resources you'd recommend? Also, any tips for breaking into junior sound design roles when most postings seem to require years of game-specific experience? It's really challenging. And to be honest, I'll apply for stuff, but I've never worked at a game audio studio. I get all of my my work freelance. So to answer your question about audio implementation, I've been focusing a lot on FMOD and Unity C# because that's the work I keep getting. It's been a few moments of, oh snap, well, I guess I got to get better at this now. And then I will also seek out game jams and say, hey, I'm an FMOD implementer and I would like to work on this. So I've sought out people that are using those things so I could really zero in and get better. With that said, I've also taken a WISE course. You end up gravitating towards things that a lot of your clients are using. With that said, it's hard to WISE is mostly a lot of indies are picking it up actually, but it's mostly AAA. So if you want to do AAA, definitely learn WISE and Unreal. For indie, it's a big FMOD movement, I find. And I'm speaking from the States, so I don't know if there's other countries that think differently. Although there were greetings based in Germany, and they were like, we use FMOD. So it really depends. So I don't have a straightforward answer. WISE, the certification is good. It's very dense reading, of course, but I think if you, I think it's doable. Also look at the School of Video Game Audio. They teach courses in FMOD, WISE, Unity, Unreal, C#. And they're all remote. So that's a really great resource. For FMOD, this is going to sound so nerdy, but I've gotten better at FMOD by reading the manual. I will have the manual open while I implement stuff. And then I find FMOD TV, those videos are old, but they cover the basics really well. Also look up Kevin, what's his name, from Real Talk. He did the video game Celeste, and that FMOD project is available to peruse. Yeah, so those are my recommendations starting out. Unity also has a lot of courses. I'm doing a Unity C# junior programmer course right now because that's my weakness. Anything to add, Sam? I just rambled for so long about game audio middleware tools.
No, yeah, no, you did great. Yeah, the Audio Kinetic Wise stuff is all free. The tutorials, if you want an official certificate, then you just pay and take the exam, but there's no need really. I haven't had a client yet like, have you got the certificate of Wise? like, oh gosh, I haven't been asked. I mean, I haven't even been asked like where I studied. No one cares. They just care if you're going to do the job and you're a nice person.
Oh, also follow Aftertouch Audio has a Discord, and that's another community. And then there's like some game audio mixing books. I don't remember any of the titles, but those are all things to get started and things I've followed. Cool. I'm just trying to get through. We don't have that many more. Have you ever been in the middle of a project making music/sounds and the person in charge decided to use someone else, yikes, or go to another direction and not use your work? Do you still get paid at least for what you made for the project, or is that just the price paid for being a freelancer? I've talked a lot, so I do have thoughts on this, but I'll let you kind of take the first stab at it, Sam.
Sure, yeah, I'll just briefly say one of my earlier game projects when I was starting out, I was very early in the scene. I wasn't quite there yet. And so maybe I wasn't the right person, but I didn't continue being the composer for that. Only, it kind of fizzled out. I did get paid for the main theme that I wrote that I believe isn't getting used. But, the client at the time didn't quite they wanted something else. They thought it didn't fit right. And so I tried again, didn't fit right, tried something else. And we just didn't mesh. And it's fine. No hard feelings between the two of us at all. I mean, you could be anyone, right? And that happens to everyone. So then it just fizzled out. And I did get paid for the main theme I wrote, but I didn't get paid for the revisions. But that's kind of in the contract. And then other way around as well. I came onto a project because they kicked out the composer, and so
awkward.
So I guess maybe it balanced itself out, right?
Yeah, I will say, not to use a cliche, but I'm going to. Freelancer doesn't mean free. The studio or company that's a mitigated risk, in my opinion. I personally, as a sound designer, require, I quote a flat rate based on X amount of assets, and I've been doing 50% upfront. I think on a longer project, I might do maybe 30% and then milestones. So I do think it's important to get paid for the time you will spend on something, because you're still working, even if it doesn't get used. But I think there are also ways to get ahead of this by having conversations, by asking for references. It's funny because I think a lot of when people talk references, it's mostly for music, but you can be guided through sound references as well. I've had people say, oh, there's this sound in this game that happens at this moment. We really like that. That's kind of the feel we're going for, but in the context of our game. And I don't copy the sound, obviously, but it guides me to making the right thing. So always get paid a percentage up front. And I mean, do your best. I don't want to make it sound like I'm sticking it to the man here. Things should be on the company, but it's you should get paid for the work you've done, in my opinion, and then work your butt off doing the work, and hopefully you things work out. So good question, Kevin. This is you, Sam. Terry asks, Sam, as a composer, do you ever borrow musical phrases for your work within copyright regs?
So I personally haven't, but I'm open to that. I think I know that one of the rules is you can't go beyond 7 notes of a melody unless it's very well known. So I haven't, but I know there's people who have, and games that have done that. There's, it's totally fine to do that. I was working on an Irish film years ago, and I was looking up the old, Irish music and trying to sneak in the melody there, but I ended up just scrapping it and writing my own thing.
I was looking at the chat, making sure I wasn't ignoring our peeps. Cool. Home stretch, you all. Two more. Nico asks, how do you handle being in a pro and composing for games? Especially bigger projects seem to not hire people in pros. Is that like pro organizations, like unions?
Yeah, like performing rights organizations. I think, I mean, yeah, I know, like, composing for games, we don't get royalties. So it's mainly for when you do film projects and stuff. So I have a PRO for my film stuff. I register my game work as soundtrack albums as well, because you never know, like, what streaming can get. But I haven't actually heard of people not wanting to hire people because they're in a PRO. If anything, that might make them seem like they know what they're doing. Maybe,
Yeah,
I would assume.
Must be a cost thing.
We're out of time.
Oh no, I'm sorry. The last one, I'll just show it and then you can answer it or leave.
Okay. So yeah, how do you go about composing genre requests that aren't comfortable experience doing? Listen to music in that style. Just keep listening to it. That's the best way.
Cool. Thank you all so much. And Greg and Lester, thank you so much for letting us go over. The questions were so good. See you all around. I know I'll be at like a mixer too. So bye. Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody.